Hello, I'm Eric Folks, Instructional Technology Coordinator for Lampasas ISD, and today we're going to talk about how you can use Smart Response and Eduphoria for your common assessments. The two work very well together and allow you to avoid answer sheets altogether, where students are able to enter answers for either your own personal test or a campus or district level common assessment, and those answers will go straight into Eduphoria, so you never have to go down and wait in line at the scanner in order to scan in your answer sheets. So how do we get started? Well, first, what you're going to want to do is make sure that your Smart Response for Eduphoria connector is installed. This is a little program that technology or curriculum will likely have to install for you, and once installed it will give your computer the ability to read the file extension that's necessary for this all to work. Okay, so put in a request in Eduphoria help desk for technology or curriculum to come by and install that Smart Response for Eduphoria connector on your computer. Okay, all right, so assuming that's installed, we're going to go ahead and go to Aware and see how this all works. All right, when you go into Aware, it's going to pull in your classes and everything, and if you click on the Test tab and you create a test within the Test tab, by default, it's already going to be enabled, the ability for the Smart Response to be used. So here's the Smart Response demo test that I created. And you can see the tabs and the options that we have across the top here are going to look a little bit different than if we had created the test under the Manage tab. Even on the Advanced tab, we don't have any ability right here to enable the Smart Response testing, the Smart Response clickers for the testing. But when we go to the Analyze tab, and we click on Test Available, what you'll notice is that the ability to use the clickers is built into the test itself. So here's our Smart Response demo test, the one I created under the Test tab, and the clickers are already an option. So to actually download that SOS file, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the test that we're going to take. So I click on the little arrow, I choose the classes. I would say go ahead and choose all of them. What this is going to do is it's going to give you one SOS file, .sos file, which is the file that you're going to double click on to start your test. By selecting all these classes and saying use response pads down here in the bottom right, and then I have to choose Smart, I'm going to click Administer, and what that's going to do, and it's important to click Administer right here, that's going to download a .sos file. But by choosing all my classes and downloading one .sos file, I'm only going to have one file to deal with instead of a separate one for first period, a separate one for second period, and so on. And it's not in any way going to affect our data. So I'm going to just show it in the folder here so that we can see what it looks like. It's in my Downloads folder. But you can see the little icon right here for the SOS file. When I double click on that, it's going to start up the assessment. So first thing I'm going to do is plug in my Smart Response receiver, and you can see it takes a second for it to install the device driver software and get the clickers ready to go. So I'm going to wait until the receiver is plugged in and has gone through all its startup stuff before I double click on this .sos file. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to show you. I just click close here. When we go back to the test available and look at a test that was created under the Manage tab, this one right here, Smart Response Demo Test under Manage tab, there's no clicker visible right here, and that's because the Smart Response, the clickers have not been enabled for this test. Now, for that to happen, somebody with either campus level, somebody with district level or campus level rights is going to have to go in and enable it. Okay, so it looks like my smart receiver is connected. I do have the PE as the type, so I'm going to just click OK. And they say they can use them for the clickers now, and everything should be good to go. So before we enable this test, let's go see where we enable the clickers for a test created under the Manage tab. Again, if you create it under the Test tab, which only you are going to be able to see the data for, so that's great for your own little personal quizzes and tests and things like that, then the clicker option is enabled automatically. But for anything created under the Manage tab, we have to manually enable the clickers. So I'm going to go to this test real quick and enable it so that you can see that step and process that needs to happen. If it's a district level assessment, chances are curriculum's going to have to enable that option for you, like our district common assessments. If it's just a campus assessment or a department assessment, then likely you're going to be able to enable it yourself. All right, so I'm going to click on, I believe it was a campus assessment, active, I think it was under 8th Science. There it is, Smart Response Demo Test, Manage tab. All right, so when we go into the test here, we're given a slightly different look and a few different tabs than had we gone into a test created under the Test tab. The crucial one here is the Administration tab on the far right. So if I click on the Administration tab and I scroll down, it will show the different options. Here's our plain paper bubble sheets. This is by default enabled. But what is not enabled by default is our student response pads. So we're going to have to click right here on this box, allow student response pad testing, and click Save. And once that change is saved, then we've enabled the clickers for the test. So I'm going to wait for that to finish saving, and then I'm going to bump over to my Analyze tab and the test available, and we'll see that the clickers have been enabled for this test. So I click on Test Available, and now you can see we've got the little clicker icon for the test we created under the Manage tab. All right, and then the same process would work here. We'd click on the over arrow, we'd select the classes we want, we would say Use Response Pads, we would choose Smart from the drop-down, and we'd click Administer, and it would download this .sos file. But we don't need to do that again. We've already downloaded one, so let's see what it looks like when we actually start the test. Okay, so here is my .sos file. Now, what is critical for you to know here is that the Smart Response Eduphoria connector will take the answers that they put in their clickers and it will put it straight into Eduphoria. But that means that you're not going to find your assessment results where you normally would if you were just using the clickers for a standard test, you know, underneath your teacher tools within the different classes that you've got loaded into teacher tools. It bypasses this altogether and it goes straight into Eduphoria. So when students are joining a class, instead of joining your class, which is typically going to be like Mr. Folks or, you know, Folks' class or whatever, they're not going to look for the name of the class that they would typically use for Smart Response. They're going to look for the name of the test. So in this case, it's Smart Response Demo Test. It won't show the full name, but it'll show the first, 5 or 6 characters. So I'm going to double click on this. It starts up the Smart Response connector for Eduphoria, pulls in the data for the test, and then we say Start Test. And at this point, it's going to pull in all the students who are associated with the classes that we selected before we downloaded that .sos file. And since we said we wanted all of our classes, it's going to pull in all 130 students or so. So at this point, the students are going to turn on their clickers, and then they're going to use the little arrow keys to say Find a Class. The class that I'm going to join that it finds here is going to be Smart RE is what shows up. So it pulled in the first, 8 characters or so. So I'm going to say I want to join that. Then it's going to prompt me for my ID number, and I'll just join as Justin here. And once I join, it confirms that I am that kid, and you can see it shows that I'm connected right here. So as I put in my answers, you can begin to see as the teacher the progress of your students as they move through the test. At this point, Justin has taken our assessment, he clicks Finish, and he's all done. Now, even though there are a whole bunch of other kids in here, we're not going to worry about them not taking the test. We can still stop the test and upload the data for Justin without it affecting any of the other kids. It's not going to upload zeros for them just because they haven't taken the test. So I say stop test. Gives me a little scary warning that says you can't unstop a test. So we just want to make sure that all the answers have been put in for this test, that the kids have all clicked finish, because you'll see it signs them out. And then after you've stopped the test, you click next. Pre-fills this information for you. This can be entered after the fact if you want, but hopefully when they install this Smart Response connector for you, they did it for you anyway. You can see that this is just this portion of our Eduphoria website. And then we'll put in our username. Okay, so this would be my demo teacher here. And if you click Remember Me on this computer, you won't have to do this every time. So I'm going to click Upload Now. And this is where we just have to be patient, let it do its thing. It's uploading all the data straight into Eduphoria. So it tells me that the responses were uploaded successfully. Now, if for some reason we don't get this little notification that everything went as it should be, you can view the upload status right here, and it will show if there were any problems uploading their answers. Now, the first time you use Smart Response and for an Eduphoria test, I would suggest that students put their answers on paper as well, just in case you have any problems. We have noticed that if you take the title of the test, if the title of the test has a colon in it, you know, if I said Smart Response colon and then the rest of the title here, if there's a colon in the title of the test, then for some reason it won't upload into Eduphoria. It will fail. So you'll have to, change the title of the test, remove the colon, and start all over again. They'll have to enter all their answers over again. So one thing you might want to check is to make sure there's no colon in the title before the kids even start the assessment. At this point, I can just click Close. So Justin Adams is in the 5th period science class, and he's the only one who took the test. So we're going to go into 5th period. We're going to click on Teacher Test because it was a teacher test type. Drill down into that test, and here's our Smart Response demo test. And you can see the student scores. Okay, so it's pretty easy once you get the upload successful notification to drill into wherever the test is. If it's a campus assessment, teacher test, whatever the case may be, your data will be there. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me or Lori Ramsey. We would be more than happy to help you get this set up. It makes scanning your bubble sheets totally obsolete. Using the clickers is going to save you a whole lot of time. Thank you for your time.